Hey guys, got a brand new video for you today, and today we're looking at something a little different. I always say that, but this is a little bit different. The people at Lightpix Labs, thumbs up to those guys, they sent me the Flash Q system, and they're these tiny little triggers. They don't have high-speed sync or TTL or anything like that, but they're basically just a way to get the flash off your camera. Super easy. It's great for indoors in the studio where you don't need to worry about high-speed sync, but outdoors you'd have to use something like an ND filter if you want to get that same effect. Unless you have something like the X100F, which has a leaf shutter in it, and you can get your full shutter speed out of it. First off, I just want to talk about the triggers. These are the T1S version 2. I'm going to show you how to set these up, how they work, and how they look on a camera. The cool thing is they're so tiny that something like the X100F or the Sony or even the X-T2, you don't have to put like a big, huge trigger on top of it. So basically you just slide it on here. You turn the power on, you hold it down for 3 seconds. It goes through a little sequence of lights, and that's it. It's synced. And then you can basically put any flash you want on the other end. It's that easy. One thing I found out is I started playing with things and I unsynced it, and I couldn't really find any videos on YouTube of how to resync these two things. And basically what you gotta do is you gotta hold down the two buttons until they flash blue. So right now, you probably can't see this, I'll show it in a close-up, but that's flashing blue. You do the same thing on the receiver end, you hold down the two buttons until it's blue. You also gotta make sure they're both turned on first. Okay, so now they're both flashing blue. You probably can't see that from where you are, but I'll do a close-up. This one turns off, and this one keeps flashing. You just touch one button, and now they're synced. So basically, on your flash side, you just slide the receiver in, lock it down, turn your flash on. Now this is only gonna work in manual mode. You can't control the flash at all, so you gotta set your power on the back of the flash. So you have a test button on the transceiver side, so you basically hold it down for 2 seconds and then you'll get a flash. So you can see that it's synced now. And we can turn the camera on, and basically any shot you take, you have flash now. And it's that easy. So basically when you want to change the power, you have to do it on the back of the flash, but the cool thing is with the X100F, you got high-speed sync, and I'll show you kind of how that works later. But I want to move on to the Flash Q20, and that's the flash that they sent. It also has a wireless receiver built into it, and that's pretty sick. This is their little flash they have. It has a little articulating head unit here that you can flip up. It's not super powerful. It's got a pretty low guide unit of like 20, I think. It doesn't have as much power as a bigger speed light, but you know, in a pinch you could use this for, you know, like birthday parties. You could use it for reception. I don't know like how big of a room you could fill with it. I'm going to show you something cool you can do with it because it is wireless, and it has a little tripod mount on the bottom where you could stick this into a beauty dish and do small portraits with it. You wouldn't want to do like a big full body shot, but you could do headshots with it. So pairing this is pretty easy. You just flip it on. It takes 2 AA batteries. Doesn't come with 2 AA batteries. Basically on the bottom base plate here, you can unplug that. And to pair it, you make sure that this is turned on first, and then you hold down both of the buttons until it flashes blue. And then you go on the back of the flash and you hold down the little left arrow key here, which also has a Wi-Fi button on it. You hold that down, it flashes blue, and then it kind of goes through a sequence of lights, and now it's connected. Now the cool thing about this little flash is that you can actually control the power from the back of the transmitter. So basically, if you go up in power by pushing the right arrow, you can see the light moving up here. This is going up in power. And then if you go to the left, it goes back down in power. And this little light has a built-in video LED on it, which is pretty cool. And if you switch the mode on the back here, you can actually go up in power with that as well. It's not super powerful, but it does, you know, it does give you a little bit of light. I guess it's kind of like a modeling light, and you know, you can bring it right back down to 1/64th of the power. So you can't go down to 1/28th of the power, but this thing's not that strong anyway, so it wouldn't really matter. So to get it back out of that mode, you just push back to the flash. Then on the back of this, you can actually change the flash power as well. Now, if you want to use this as an on-camera flash, basically just clip it in the bottom here. There's a little button. and then you can now use this on camera. So we'll stick this on the X-T2. Just lock it down, take your picture, and you're good to go. Now this only works at the 1/250th of a second as well. This does not have high-speed sync or TTL. But the cool thing is with this is that you could be using it as on-camera flash, right? Then just clip it off, and now you've got off-camera flash. So it's pretty universal. And then you've got your little articulating things. You can fire that up at the ceiling if you want to give like glow to the area instead of hard flash. You know, that's generally how I shoot if I'm at like a reception or something like that. So just angle it straight up at the ceiling. You can put light modifiers on it, something like the Gary Fong. It will cover the entire thing though because it's so small. But I do want to show you something you can do, and let's check that out. So the cool thing with this is you could technically stick this in a beauty dish. It's got a tripod mount on the bottom. And I'm going to take this little arm and screw it in. So this is just like a random clamp, nano clamp with a little articulating arm. I'm going to mount this to the beauty dish on the stand. So yeah, basically you could just stick this onto the stand, clamp it in, and hold this into the beauty dish. So yeah, something like that. So yeah, you can technically do something like this with the little flash and stick it into the rapid box here. If you have one of these, otherwise you can use other light modifiers with it. But you need some kind of clamp because the distance between this and the opening isn't high enough on here. So that's why I had to use this clamp. But now I can use this in a softbox, which is pretty sweet. So the cool thing is I can turn the power up on the back of the camera. I didn't have enough power for that first shot. So we just crank this up. And that's another thing, because this is so diffused, the light isn't that strong. You almost have to have it on maximum to get enough power to push through all the diffusion. But you can still use this for small little projects like this. All right, so putting the trigger on top of the X100F allows us to have some little high-speed action because of the leaf shutter. And I'm gonna set it up here since I have the light already on the softbox. I'll put it just on top of the X-T2 and just kind of take a shot like that just to show you that we can get really high shutter speeds with this thing. Oh, I'm getting a phone call. Hey. So basically I'm just gonna set the light up over top of the X-T2 and use it as my model, and we'll show you some shutter speeds off this thing, and then you can kind of get a better understanding of what you can do with this camera and this little flash system, which is pretty cool. And if you wanted to get high speed sync with, say, a bigger speed light or even a strobe, you could do that as well. They do give you a sync cable that comes with it, and that plugs into the receiver side, and you can plug that into your strobe. This cable does not fit my strobe, so I can't really show you that, but you can order different cables. I need the 3.5mm jack for my strobe. I might actually pick one up because I actually really like how small the system is. All right, so this is gonna be my little setup here. Got the softbox up here. I'm gonna use the X-T2 as my little subject, and then the X100F is gonna take the picture. Okay, so right now we're at 1/640th of a second, f2.8. I'll bring it right up to 2000. Gonna adjust my ISO a bit. And I'll bring it right up to 4000. Adjust my ISO a bit. There you go, we basically have high-speed sync. So it doesn't just work on things like Fuji. We got a Sony a6300 here. And I put the trigger on it. I don't have a card in it right now, but you can get the idea. But it triggers the flash. And we can take this off and stick it in something like a Canon. So it's a Canon 6D. Put this in the live view so you can see better. I think this camera sync speed is 1/160th of a second. Yeah, it's better. All right, guys, so as you can see, we tried it on 4 different cameras: X-T2, X100F, the Sony a6300, and the Canon 6D. I don't have a Nikon to test it on, but that kind of gives you a good understanding of how this is gonna work. Obviously, you can only reach the max sync speed of each camera. They only take little tiny watch batteries, so it's super easy to swap them out. They say on the site that the Flash Q20 gets between 100 to 2,000 shots off one flash, so I'm assuming 100 shots at full power and probably somewhere in between if you're at half power. So that takes 2 AA batteries. Most flashes take 4, so I kind of understand why you don't get a ton of flash out of this little system. They're saying you get up to 10 meters of wireless transmission using the 2.4 gigahertz band, and that's pretty decent. it's pretty far for these little tiny things. Now, if you want to pick these up, I think you can get them on Amazon from the UK store. You can get them on their website, and I think Roberts Camera sells them. I'll put links in the description where to pick them up, but I think the little kit they sent me with the flash, the trigger, and then the trigger and receiver is around 125 bucks. I'm pretty sure that's US dollars. If you just wanted to get the flash on its own, you're looking at around $107. And if you just want to get the 2 triggers because you have your own flash, 45 bucks. So that's literally so cheap to get the flash off your camera. And, you know, if you can hook this up to a strobe in the studio, 1/250th of a second isn't really all that bad. I shoot that all the time in the studio. So you could get away with using these on a strobe. And, you know, it's literally dirt cheap. You don't have this massive thing in the way. The only problem is you got to manually control the flash. You can't do it from here. But as you saw, you can control the flash that you can buy from them with the back of it, just changing the power. Anyway, thanks to Lightpix Labs for sending these to me just to check out. It's not really a sponsored video. They're not paying me, but I think that it's a pretty cool little system if you want to get your flash off your camera and you don't want a massive, huge trigger on top of it. They're really easy to set up, and they just kind of work right out of the box because all they have is a center pin. Every camera has the center pin, and that's all you really need to trigger. You just can't get the super high sync speeds or the data for TTL and stuff like that. Anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down twice, and we'll see you in the next one.